good morning, good afternoon, good whatever, wherever you are. This is Eric Funches, Mr. Suave himself with PWT. We have our winner for the scholarship of PWT 2022, Miss Lauren Senkbeil. Y'all give it up, y'all give it up. So how are you doing today, madam?
I am doing amazing. I'm just trying to catch up on some rest now that we're on break from school, but we start back on Monday. So getting mentally prepared to get back.
So speaking of which, where are you in school?
I am a second-year student at Ross University, and I live in Barbados.
Wow. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Naperville, Illinois, and I've been in Los Angeles for the last decade of my life. I missed it dearly, and I've been in Barbados for a little while for school.
So let's back up a little bit to your high school or to before that. When was kind of your first inkling that you might want to go into medicine?
It was definitely like second grade, and I can't tell you why. When you clean out your room, like from your past life, I was reading through like books I wrote and stuff. And then, in the beginning, I'd be like, my name's Lauren Senkbeil, and when I grow up, I want to be a doctor or veterinarian because I want to help people and animals. And I got over the animal part and I stuck with the doctor. I really can't tell you why. Honestly, it came like later into like high school when I had a really great psychology teacher where I fell in love with the brain, and I was like, okay, neurosurgery is it, neuro something, just touching the brain and having him explain how it works and neuroplasticity and whatnot.
Right.
I really love neuro, but now that I'm a very non-traditional student and an older student, I've stepped back from pursuing surgery. I don't want to be in school for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's usually.
But it's a dream deferred. I love neuro. I've worked with some of the greatest neurologists on the planet. I was at Cedars-Sinai and I did a study with Dr. Patrick Leiden, who wrote one of my letters of recommendation, and I've met Dr. Keith Black, who is arguably the best neurosurgeon on the planet. So I've been pretty obsessed with neuro my whole life, but maybe internal med.
I hear you. Well, it sounds like because of those connections, in some way or another, you're going to get your hand in that and be of an influence. Speaking of which, who are your greatest influences? First, let's go back again to when you were younger, and then tell me, like now, who you consider your greatest influence.
Definitely my parents. My mom and my dad, they were very involved with my education and my homework and helping me. I don't think I missed a day of school ever. Through elementary, through high school, maybe in high school that they don't know about, but through the younger ages, I don't think I missed a day. I was very involved. My parents were very involved. Now I had a mentor. She passed in 2017, Dr. Carol Jordan Harris, the late and great. Yeah. She was an amazing woman. I'm actually a previously matriculated student. I started medical school in 2013 at Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara. I withdrew and thought my life was over, and she really just kind of picked me up and helped me get back on my feet. And when I moved back to LA, and brought me to the Association of Black Women Physicians, where I kind of got involved with the community with them, and obviously Charles Drew University. I went back there. I'm an alum from the graduate program, the Masters of Urban Public Health. So that's kind of what formed me to who I am today.
Yeah. So when you look back in your memories with her, what is like your greatest takeaway from things that she shared that really encouraged you, that you think kind of pushed you to be here today?
She was different. She wasn't just a regular doctor. I think she's my spirit animal, because being a doctor, just, saving lives is not enough for some of us. And she was, involved with politics. She was involved with PR. She opened a medical school, I believe, in Nigeria. She was like allegedly the first African-American woman named with a chieftaincy in this neighborhood or area. She was just always doing something else. And she brought me under her wing and just just the fact that like I didn't really have any family in Los Angeles, you know, sometimes, you know, as students, we just suffer in silence and we're, you know, trying to work jobs and we're trying to get our experience. And there was a point in time where there was probably 2 years where I didn't have a car. And, you know, a lot of people knew, and I'm, you know, going to these events with the doctors and leaving and she's like, do you need a ride? You know, just things that like are little, but they're big. So she was just always very thoughtful, very caring. She was a great woman.
That is powerful in that I hear you saying that she was just an all-around humanitarian.
Yeah, she was.
And that's what you kind of take away. And I know that it moves you a lot. It makes you emotional at times. I know that she's transcended. But you use the term spirit animal, which makes me also feel like you feel very deeply that there's a great big part of her still with you, and that guides you and motivates you to do more than just be a physician in the traditional sense. And speaking to that, you are indeed not the traditional student. You had the little secret inside of your interview. So tell us more about that secret. In your application process.
You know, yeah, it's funny because as a non-traditional student, I couldn't really find a job after getting my master's degree, and being in LA, when you can't find a job, you can be a background actor. And I kind of got forced into like entertainment that way and just kind of seeing what's going on. And it'd be funny because, you know, in our downtime, I'd bring my MCAT books and be studying. And people are like, why aren't you networking and trying to get in with us? I'm like, I really don't want to be here. You know?
Keep the main thing the main thing.
I just need some money. And then I think it was an internship that I saw be with Amber Rose. And she does the slut walk, or she did the slut walk. And people were like, oh, that's weird. You know, she's a next stripper. And I'm like, no, these are like the type of people that get to the community that you want, like the underserved, underprivileged community, you know? And the slut walk was such an amazing thing to me. It was like, it's like a health fair day party. And she actually partnered with USC, which is huge. Like their women's studies or gender studies. And through like a concert in the middle of downtown LA with like 15,000 people. And I really like the fact that they had AIDS Healthcare Foundation there, like testing people, you know, just getting people educated and having fun. I'm like, that's cool. I kind of want to do that. So I've kind of like started Health by Hollywood, which is my first nonprofit, my baby, and now to the Coalition of Black Men Physicians. So hopefully we can find some synergy, but I'm really trying to create or recreate something very similar, large scale, kind of like a complex con or a beauty con for healthcare.
Yeah.
I think I'm young and hip, and, you know, I can kind of get through to the youth. So I think it would be kind of a cool approach to healthcare and just kind of where we need to go in the future.
Most definitely. So speaking to that, I know I watched your application interview, the video submission. I was very impressed with the fact that you are very much community oriented. You do your is it podcast that you also do?
I did a podcast, or it was like a webinar for COVID in the thick of COVID. And honestly, when they said, show us your talent, I'm like, I don't have any talent. Like I don't sing, I don't dance, TikTok is very difficult for me. And I'm like, the only thing I kind of know how to do is start businesses and, you know, bring people together and be top enrolling in clinical research studies.
And
so
you've done that. Yeah.
How can I showcase that? So I tried my best, and I'm glad you guys received it.
It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And, you know, and it goes to the whole thing of non-traditional. And we're, PWT is constantly wanting to bring the doctors, the community of doctors together and highlight that. So being able to help med students as yourself showcase your, and we consider that a talent, because you, just in what you've shared so far, you've really talked about nothing more than bringing people together, highlighting the underserved, helping, and that's what being a physician really is all about. And your way of looking at it so that you are also being able to look beyond how other people's perceptions and perspectives are is going to be a great asset to you. And to that fact, how do you see? Well, first off, how did you find out about this
Organization?
Yes, thank you. I got stuck there for a second. I was trying to say the scholarship, not necessarily the organization, but about the scholarship.
Finding out the organization and talking to Dr. Jackson obviously brought me to the scholarship. She's like, "Oh, we have a scholarship." I said, "Well, I'll be applying."
So where did y'all meet?
We met on Facebook.
Nice.
We've never met formally. As the president of the Coalition of Black Men Physicians, I've been reaching out like crazy because we created the National Black Men Physicians Day on September 12th. So I was just reaching out to, like-minded organizations that do, similar things. And I came across the group on Facebook, and I think I promoted the event or said something, and she reached out like, "What is this? Because you guys have National Physicians Week."
Right.
And she's like, "Who did this?" I'm like, "Oh, I did." And so we had a phone call, and she was super cool and just super supportive and told me about the scholarship, and here we are.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing how things turn out. So where do you, how could you and PWT work in the future?
However they want to work. We can work as a student. We can work, collaborating with organizations. Like I said, I have 2, health nonprofits going on right now. So I'm definitely open to collaboration. And I know that me and my executive board, or should I say my executive board and I,
yes,
will be meeting.
I understand that.
Soon. Yeah, we'll be meeting soon to discuss 2023's lineup, and which organizations we want to talk to and programs we want to establish, because we're pretty new. We're founded in April, and we kind of move by my schedule because this is my baby. So every 4 months we do an event, which is every break from my school. So yeah, we're kind of in the planning of the next holiday, and I know you guys are national, so hopefully we can do something together. I know we're going to plan out. We're going to try to do it in Atlanta this year.
Oh, nice.
And, maybe we could do some cross collaboration for National Physicians Week and March. I'm open to whatever she's interested in. I just haven't really touched base with her about it.
So with what you've done and where you see yourself going, how do you see yourself in 5 years and then in 10 years? With you, just your personal, professional, and the organizations that you started.
5 years and 10 years. I think both of these organizations that I've started will really take off. I'm pretty confident, and I have pretty strong teams. So other than that, I would really like to be creating the Dedication Summit, which is the Complex Con Beauty Con that I had in mind. Maybe after second year when I return to the States. It's a little difficult to plan large-scale events from Barbados. So definitely getting that under my belt, residency, maybe marriage, hopefully kids. And that's as much as I thought about it, I have a lash line and a hairline, so hopefully everything's just moving at once, because everything's kind of like starting off.
Yeah.
This is like the ground, feet on the ground, but hopefully we're, taking off at a trajectory sometime this year.
Awesome. Well, I love it that you're both going to be a physician and a, what's the new term for entrepreneur? They added a word to it now. When you have several things going on, several different businesses that you started.
Serial entrepreneur.
Yes, that's it. Right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, because it's hard being a broke student. You only get but so much loan money, and as a almost 36-year-old, it's not going to cut it. So I'm trying to get creative. I've been doing this application stuff for so long, and I've spent my life savings on applying to medical school. I've applied 6 times. So it's been a long time of just, shoveling money out for this dream. I kind of want to experience other things.
Yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, we're very, very happy that you connected with PWT and that you did apply, and we wish you great congratulations on being our 2022 recipient. In my final question to you, I just like to ask, what would be your words of inspiration to pre-med students, medical students that are in the same struggle as you?
There's a few things, I guess, when I, bring on my mentees. Just make sure you're prepared before you start submitting for applications, because I was just kind of like everywhere. And I didn't really have much guidance until I kind of found my mentor later. I was just like, everywhere. Just, I'm going to apply now. I'm going to take the MCAT 3 times this year because I'm just losing it, Like it was just too much sometimes. So I wish I would have kind of took a step back and be like, this application is not ready. Like, this is not a strong application, because then I would have wasted so much time, so much money. And just, going through the failure of rejection is rough. And I think that as people in this profession, this is something we have to do a lot, and that we have to learn not to internalize, because it is a very difficult field. It's very competitive. Yeah. I also like to tell students to like be themselves, because a lot of people told me, I wear a blue wig sometimes, I wear crazy makeup. I'm not like the traditional student or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going to change who I am so that, med schools like me or whatever. I mean, I think it's good to be cognizant of like being appropriate and not, being naked on your social media, et cetera, but don't change who you are. Like, because they say they like diversity, and if I didn't have a story, I wouldn't be able to talk about my billboard with AIDS Healthcare Foundation or my farmers market. Like, these are things that I've done that aren't necessarily like pre-med, but they're me. And like I said, they're important to me. So there are things that I could still put in my application, but I know that my application was nothing like any other student, probably putting research, shadowing, the typical cookie cutter answers that you would think they'd want. Like, I was putting some random stuff. Yeah. So I like to stand out. I think that people should kind of hone in on what makes them different and stand out, and use that as a strength.
Yeah, because your uniqueness is definitely your strength. So with that being the case, with the medical community, those who are in position right now, what would be your expectation of veteran physicians in the way of helping or supporting young medical students, or medical students, period?
You know what? When you make it, you kind of forget about where you came from and the struggles. Right. So I think it's always good to like go back to where you came from and work with these same students. It's hard to make time, because even for me, like, I had people ask me to mentor them, and I'm like, I'm struggling in class, So I don't know how much help I can give you, because I'm trying to, balance running businesses, balance passing every semester. So it's difficult. Like, I really just had someone bring a young girl to me, and I'm just like, I'm not going to say no, but it's like, how am I going to find time to kind of incorporate her in? I'm trying to, get her involved with Black men positions, because I really need help. So I'm like, maybe she could be an intern, give her some experience or get her paid. I'm really into making the Coalition of Black Men Physicians somewhat of a machine to where students can get paid, because the hardest part for me getting through this process was the financial side. I know a lot of students get to live with their parents, like, as they apply and do all this stuff, or they have some sort of situation, but I've kind of been on my own budget since 18. So balancing, LA rent and my car and, whatever else, and then paying for 60 credits at UCLA outside of that, or post-bac. It was just a lot. So I really try to come up with ways to get people paid.
Well, you've definitely spoken to Dr. Jackson's heart, because the one thing that you said concerning remembering is right where she keeps it. She remembers being a student. She remembers the struggles, and I think that in this community of physicians working together, that is her main thing. One of her main things is that we do work as a community, and that the physician community remembers where they came from and take opportunity to reach back. Take opportunity.
And if you're in a position like admissions or, running an organization like this, like, let people in. Like, if they're not ready to apply, like then kind of mentor them or pull them off to the side and be like, hey, you might want to strengthen your application like this. Like there's no point in being in a position of power or bragging about being on the admissions committee or, a dean or whatever, just to say you're that when you're not really helping the people like you. So I've had a lot of interesting situations in my journey, and I really appreciate the ones who went out their way to help me, because it's not always like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for taking time to speak with us today. And we wish you all the best and definitely look forward to working with you in the future in some way to help your organization and our organization collaborate to help others that, as you mentioned, were underserved. And not just those, just anyone that we can help. So thank you again. We appreciate your uniqueness. And that had a lot to do with why you were chosen. So we just look forward to doing some great things in the future.
I'm very excited, and thank you guys for having me and picking me.